do this morning, it was kind of Annabel's idea, which is a good idea. First of all, I think the drills that Annabel did the other day were great, and the drills that Andrew did were terrific. And then Annabel came up with the idea of doing some specialty shots, which is what we're going to do. You know, I've done hundreds of these events, as you can imagine, and you never can be quite sure, because usually when you get 3/4 of the way through these events, someone's going to come up and say to you, look, we came to this event and we've had lots of tennis, but we haven't had quite as much instruction as we hoped we would get. So this morning what I'm planning to do is we're going to go through 3 or 4 specialty shots. We're going to go through the drop shot, a slice backhand, a lob, and a spin serve. And I'll quickly kind of go over it, and Andrew can hopefully demonstrate it a little bit. And then that's what you're going to be working on for most of the morning. Now, if you want to continue it tomorrow morning or this afternoon even, let me know. If you'd rather just do drills, we'll go straight back to drills tomorrow. But hopefully, you know, you will learn something. And hopefully that's what everybody wants to do, to learn a little bit as well. I had a long discussion quite a few years ago with the great golfer Jack Nicklaus, who I play quite a lot of tennis with. And I said to him, I said, Jack, how come everybody, all the golfers, have different swings, but some of them produce great results all the time? And he said, Owen, he said, they all do have different swings, but the good ones, the really good ones, have the club face on the ball when it meets the ball in the right position. They might have a different way of getting there, but they get there with the club face in the right spot, which is why they become great golfers and the others don't become great golfers. Pretty much the same applies to tennis. If they all look different when you watch them on TV, but the good ones, if you watch real closely and you take a slow motion video of them, the good ones have pretty much their racket face in the same spot in the hitting area. And that's what you're trying to do. You've got to try and work on getting your racket face in the correct spot in the hitting area. So that's one of the things we're going to work on. Now, the first shot we're going to go through is the drop shot. The drop shot, you've probably heard the old tennis adage, you're only as good as your second serve. That's a pretty good adage. You're only as good as your second serve. If you can't get your second serve in and you miss your first serve, you're going to lose a lot of matches. The drop shot, as we explained to a couple of people the other day, is only as good as the second bounce. If it looks good through the air and it's traveling like this, and the first bounce hits here and the second bounce hits down here, the opponent's going to get to it. What you're looking for when you watch the great players, and Andrew can demonstrate, if somebody could please, we'll just move up here a little bit. Andrew, you'll be here. But we don't need your horn. So what you're trying to do, trying to get enough backspin on the ball so that the second bounce is close to the first bounce, and that makes it very difficult for your opponent. You will notice yourself, and every player in the world, without exception, has a side that is their favourite drop shot side. Some people will hit a backhand, a lot of people will hit a backhand drop shot and it feels comfortable to them, and over here it feels really uncomfortable. There's some exceptions. Chris Everett, one of the greatest players of all time, lady players, was comfortable here and was not comfortable here. And as you play, whether you like it or not, you figure out what side you'd rather do it on. So I don't know.
Can I add one thing to that? I mean, about the drop shot, it's very rarely talked about or coached. All of that makes total sense. But actually, even if it's not a complete winner, sometimes it'll bring you the point anyway because you don't expect it, or people don't know how to run up to a ball and play it, and they'll make a mistake when they're coming up. So it can be a working drop shot, as in squash, not necessarily always a total winner. You don't be 1 foot from the net every time. He just does a little bit much. Sorry.
All right. So fit him a couple of backhand drop shots and drop. And you'll pretty soon notice, if you watch carefully, what side he's more comfortable on. Now, that was a good example of what happened then. What happened then? If you have any ambition to improve it, you've got to be prepared in your own mind to look silly. Because to hit a drop shot, attempt a drop shot like this, anybody can do this. Bounces there, then it bounces down there and the opponent gets it. Because, okay, you've hit a nice short ball, but it's not really a drop shot. You've got to be prepared to look silly by trying to spin it like that.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, and that one worked. That one worked. But I did this and it worked. But, just like him, if you do it sometimes, it doesn't work. And it looks silly. But if you're not prepared for that to happen, you're not going to learn to do it properly. That's why that one that he missed, that's not a big deal. That's what you've got to figure in your head.
Oh, no, no.
Well, yeah, I mean, it depends on the sort of shot that gets hit to. See how he's trying to, you're going to make mistakes, and if you don't make mistakes, it's not right.
There you go.
Now try a couple of forehands.
Oh, I don't like that.
Now, a couple of forehands. Now that's a very good example, you see. He doesn't look very comfortable on that. It's probably not his favourite shot in the world. Right?
One more.
And you all, when you play, you're all going to be like that.
One more.
And you'll figure it out real quickly in your own mind.
Okay, so pretend I'm going to hit it and then I come.
So,
No, one more.
yeah, now so far it hasn't looked very good. We kind of need lights on the court. We're going to be still here when it's dark. Okay, that's a drop shot. That's a drop shot. That's going to be
There you go.
on court number 1 starting off. That's going to be on court number 1 starting off with Rennie. Now,
Court number 1.
the next one we're going to do is going to be on court number 2 with Andrew and Costa. We're going to do a slice backhand. Okay? Now, it's a very important shot, or an important shot for most of you to learn if you can, because a lot of you people that are two-handed, when you get stretched wide, you can't use your 2 hands, and you have to take the 1 hand off and try and play some form of slice backhand. Now, there's a big difference between a slice backhand and a chop. And you think the pros are chopping, they're not chopping. A chop comes from here and comes down and goes nowhere. The ball comes from above, the racket comes from above the ball, and it goes like this, and it chops, and it sits up when it gets down the other end, and your opponent passes to you. That's a chop. A slice starts lower and goes through the court like that, so it bounces about this high and penetrates through the court, so that makes it harder for your opponent to pass you. And you can hit it anywhere in the court. If you want to approach and come in down the line long like that, you can do that. Or if you're playing against somebody who's got a bad forehand grip, it doesn't have to be great, it can be short over there. That's pretty terrible, but it was short over there, and that makes it very hard for them to hit a forehand. So, but there's a big difference between taking it back low, opening the face, and going through the ball, penetrating through the ball, not just hacking on the ball like this, where the ball goes like that. You come running into the net, the ball sits here, how high that bounced? Well, you know, anyone with a decent 2-handed backhand, I'm standing here like an idiot and I'm going to get past. So that's the difference. I don't want to take too long going through all this, but it's kind of good. Now, we'll quickly go to court 3, where we're going to lob. Now, a huge percentage of this group are ladies. And I mean, lobbing in women's tennis, in women's league tennis, is invaluable. But a lot of people think, first of all, Billie Jean always said, when you decide to lob, never change your mind. If you're going to lob, lob. Because what happens is you decide you're going to lob, somebody at the net makes a move, and you don't lob, you quit on it, you're going to lose a point anyway. But a lot of people think, better do it that better. A lot of people think a lob is this. ball comes and they go like that. See where my racket
6.
Because it's a lob, if they hit a regular drive, they hit it something like that. And if they hit a lob, they suddenly think, well, I'm going to lob, and they go, and the ball goes out. A lob is just an elevated drive. You've still got to follow through and carry the ball towards your target, like that. So you get ready to drive, they come to the net, you carry through towards your target. You don't stop the racket there, on either side. You don't run up with you. Some of you guys have got this sort of a grip, and you run up and you go. That's not a lob. Is that you, Rosie, is it? It's the same thing. You follow through and you carry the ball towards the target. Okay, that's a lob. So we'll get on to chord 3 with Dillo, right, on that. Now, the last thing quickly is, Annabel said the spin on the serve. If you can improve your game, your serve, 25%, you'll improve your game 40%. And that applies to the level up there when you see some of these girls that can't serve at all, and they're in the top 10. And Serena Williams, who serves probably better than any woman that ever played the game. And that applies all the way down to your levels. If you can serve with a little bit of spin, you hit the right-hand side of the ball. You know what I mean by the right-hand side of the ball? Some pros will tell you 3 o'clock, hit the ball at 3 o'clock and make the racket do this. I like to tell the kids 4 o'clock. The reason I tell them 4 o'clock is I don't want them just hitting on the right-hand side of the ball. I want them hitting up a little bit. I'll do it right-handed. So if you hit the right-hand side of the ball, which I want you to do, when I say the right-hand side of the ball, if the ball's sitting up there like that, I'm thinking about hitting the C and the E. Because I'm hitting the ball this way and trying to get it in this way. Now, if I just hit 3 o'clock, the ball might go like that. But if I hit 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, then the ball should go like that. So it goes up a little bit. So you're hitting up as well as the side of the ball. And the more spin you can get on the ball, the more control you're going to have. As Annabel's talking about a topspin serve, that's hitting the back side of the ball, and that's a harder serve to hit. But it's worth practicing after you learn to hit a slice serve. If you gave, I'll just use probably a good example. If you asked Pete, if you told Pete Sampras first thing in the morning or any time that you would give him $1 million to hit just one ball when he's got in his hand, if he could hit it into the court, Pete Sampras would not do this because he'd be afraid he's going to miss that. He'd be afraid that he wants $1 million and he goes and Pete Sampras every single time would do that. And he'd be confident that he can get that in time and time again. And the only reason he's confident about that is because he is learning to spin the ball and the ball's got some spin. The more spin you get on it, as well as the penetration, the more control you're going to get. Now some of you are going to find that with your grip that you have, not so easy. The other thing I'll just say quickly, and then we need to get on the court. Some of your pros have you've probably heard the word pronation from the pros. Back in the old days, when he was playing in the old days, Annabel's younger, but he was playing in the old days. We never heard the word pronation, and that you didn't hear the word pronation. The reason all of a sudden some of these pros started talking about pronation, if any of you have, is it YouTube or stuff on YouTube? Whatever. I don't understand it all, but I know people can get it up. If you watch a serve in slow motion, anybody's serve in slow motion, Roger Federer, anybody, what happens is the racket comes into the serve like this. Say he's trying to hit a spin serve. Into the serve like this to hit the spin serve. The racket automatically, you can't stop it. You physically cannot stop it. Automatically does this, which some people might call pronation, and then it comes across their body and they get a perfect slice serve. You cannot dispute it. Nobody can dispute it. That's what happens. That's what your body does. So, but when the pros started talking about pronation, when the pros started talking about pronation, you started seeing people with maybe not the greatest grip in the world. Instead of hitting the ball on the right-hand side like this, and I'm doing this right-handed, they all of a sudden started to think, oh God, I've got to pronate. What happens when you pronate? They go, and you get inside out, and that's what happens. So the word pronation, you're going to pronate, if that's what you want to call it, whether you like it or not.
Well, pronation can only work if the grip is correct.
Well, yeah, you've got to have, a lot of these people have like frying pan grips.
Yes, well that's got to change.
It's pretty hard to pronate, right. You know what I mean by frying pan grips? We call this the frying pan grip because that's the one your wife hopefully has in the kitchen.
That's on. Get that on YouTube.
Some wives don't go into the kitchen, but anyway, does anyone a quick question if you have it? But otherwise, let's get to the chords. Good. Let's get to the chords.
Oh, great.
Great. Well done.
Good.
Doing the same groups yesterday.
Now, same groups yesterday. Now, at the end of the day, I'm serious. If you say, look, okay, that was okay, but we'd rather play drills again tomorrow, that's what we'll do. If you want some other instructions from Annabel and Andrew, that's what we'll do. I don't think it's a bad thing, but it's up to you. So go to the same course.
Skill drills.
The pros know what they're doing, and we'll go right through the whole thing.
Okay, do you remember